Anyway, welcome to Monday Morning Quarterbacks. I'm here with Chris Rosen here at the Angler. I'm Sean McNulty of the Wake Up. You, of course, put comments there. We'll hopefully see them in my Substack app here as it goes along. Kick off here. Weapons, I guess, still top of the charts. So, 43% hold, pretty good. I mean, for a horror movie, that's very good. There are comps out there to Jordan Peele and Sinners, which I'm like, I don't know that I'm really, this falls a little more in the horror category to me. But, I think Final Destination was over 60% week two, which I think was maybe more of a appropriate comp, perhaps. Both New Line horror films from Warner Brothers. But yeah, 25 million. Pretty strong here, Chris. This is that late summer. I was pegging this movie. I'm like, I hope this is that late summer jolt of energy in the box office. That this is it for the month. I mean, this is really all we're hanging our hat on here.
Yes,
and it's delivering, right, Chris?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like it did very solid, like you said. I saw the comps in Sinners too. I'm like, if not like Sinners, it's not even like Sixth Sense, which I think we talked about last week, which had great very minimal depreciation in week two. And this one, like 40%, that's totally fine, and like it'll play well. Obviously, there's not much
not a lot of competition here for the title. I think it's pretty safe it'll probably be number one until Conjuring. So that's going to be a number one probably for 4 weeks. It'll have, but by the time it wraps up there, most likely. I mean, a very good shot at that, I should say, at least for 3.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and like people seem to like it. Like the Cinema Score, like we said last week, was good, and the Letterboxd ratings, people I know who anecdotally caught it over the last week or so are excited to see it, and it's definitely people are excited for this movie, and that's it's a showing. I think that's showing, and with nothing else to see, it's also going to help. So that works.
Yeah, too. So, no hard until The Conjuring as well, which is also another. Warner Brothers New Line movie, or Warner Brothers movie. So yeah, and the midweek business was great. I mean, we're at 90 million US already, so that's great. It wasn't just the weekends that are doing the box office here in the summertime. You have that midweek business, which you can pick up on, which again, I think I'd say at least 20 million, maybe more than that during midweek business for this movie. So again, that word of mouth is all coming in. We're at basically 150 million global. Basically we'll have all of its costs, including production and marketing, by the end of this week. So, New Line and Warner's in great position on this financially. And another win for our Warner's coffers as Mr. Paul Thomas Anderson looms at arm and never shifted. The vibes haven't quite shifted there yet, Chris, but, we're all give it a week. And I think that conversation will start, because it'll be about a month in a week. So that'll be, because it's it's the last weekend of September. So I think that conversation will start. So, and hopefully we'll see it somewhere in Mr. PTA and Leo we'll see.
I haven't heard I don't know. I haven't really seen it.
Yeah, no one tell me. I have you here, Chris. Come on, you're the guy who's supposed to.
I don't know one person who's seen it. I asked him to see it. I was like, let's see it, but not yet. But I don't know. I'm like, what if that's good? I don't know. I'm I'm all in on this. I'm like, let's hope that. What if that's there too, and that works? I don't know.
Yeah. Is that Venice or not? No, that's not. We know where that's
nothing. None of these fests so far. Nothing. It's just going right to theaters on the 26th.
That can't be the way this goes. Come on. This is Paul Thomas Anderson and Leo DiCaprio, two of the biggest actor-director names of Prestige history here, Mr. Prestige Junkie.
I know. I'm just telling you what they do. Maybe tell you right, I guess.
Tell you right, surprise? No?
I don't know. It could be a surprise, or maybe... I don't know. It's not going to be Venice though, so who knows?
It's not Venice, and it's TIFF at this point. So that's really the only two festivals. But at this point, they're going to announce that. I mean, that's kind of set. I mean, where else? I mean, they couldn't do it as a surprise, but I don't know.
I feel like people are gunshot, because last year Warner's had the Joker sequel, which obviously it did not work out very well for anybody.
Right.
But they brought that to Venice, and it kind of got
big Venice. Yeah,
right.
But the first one was there, so I think that had. Anyway, that's a different precedent. So, shout out to Prestige Junkie podcast. Check that out. Chris is on that with Katie, knocking all this stuff. So, yeah. Otherwise, here back to this, we got Freakier Friday, doing fine. Again, this is kind of made its money back production wise, and still has a marketing spend to go, but seems fine. I think it hits the. People like it. It's kind of intended to be what it was supposed to be. We're 86 million globals. Fine. I don't think it's going to be probably coming a little bit less than the first one, but that was again way different the box office. So but nothing. A good showing here for Disney, I think. All
definitely,
around.
And with Weapons, nothing really to compete with it for that audience, right?
Right.
There's nothing for people who are predisposed to see Freakier Friday. Have really no other choices. So if they were on the fence, they either went this week, or maybe if they're really holding out, they'll go next week, or they'll go see it again. So I think that works in its favor too.
Yeah, yeah. So doing pretty well. But I will both of those movies again, coming up short on international.
Hmm.
So and I will note on weapons, final looked at back at Final Destination Bloodlines. That one did make more overseas. So again, it's this little bit of a overseas curiosity we have here, these late summer
Hmm.
box office titles. So we'll see, probably repeat that again as we go down the list here. But we did have one, new movie, Nobody Two, which I gotta scratch my head the release date on this one a little bit. Not that I don't know that the potential was that huge. I mean, so we came in a little over 9 million, 9.3 million, a little below tracking. Is it, beat the first one, which was 6.8, but that was also March of 2021. Not exactly the best comp for
Hmm.
the movie at that time. So, uh, but it's, you have a movie that skews to, quite frankly, you and me. All right, let's go,
Yes.
let's just say over 35, over 40-year-old white dudes.
Yes.
And you're picking a time, the worst, and not that it has to be all about sports, but this is the worst month for the sports calendar in the world to reach this general audience. And an action movie, it wasn't like it was some, period drama or something. I'm like, all right, you're talking to that kind of audience, and this mid-August date, I'm like, didn't really, I don't know. Anecdotally, I don't know, but people didn't even know this was coming out. Like, oh, Nobody Two,
Mhm. Not great. And like you were saying too, you can't even stream the first one right now, right? Like it's
well,
not on.
you can stream it just on
You can stream
Peacock.
it,
It's
just not
on
on Peacock.
Amazon. It's actually for free on Amazon, which was a
Okay.
weird. It was like I guess it's an old was that freebie remnant or
Sure.
something like
Sure.
that. That's but you go to Amazon Prime Video and you can stream it for free. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But
But
not
yeah,
on
not
Peacock.
having it. Yeah, like I just feel like that was another tough thing. I don't know. I just it and the movie seemed like the people I know who've seen it seem to like it. So I think it
Yeah,
did, like you
I
said,
think
the
the quality
audience.
issue.
It
Yeah,
succeeded for the audience, right? Like that it's
right.
made for. But just to find that audience to know it exists was a challenge that they did not seemingly they did not succeed at, at right now.
Yeah, it's just the data. Maybe again, it'll be on PVOD come the start of football season. Maybe there, and again, the first one was a huge PVOD success, but again, it
Hmm.
was March of 2021, so PVOD was a much bigger part of the landscape of watching movies. So that's the one that really stands out. Again, it'll kind of more or less make its money back. It's not going to be really a
Yeah.
problem here, but it's a little bit like, feels like maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity at some point. If you're going to go to the trouble of making this movie, maybe it would have been better off in a September that's not really that stacked this year, really, but
A
just my
hundred
own.
percent. Like it could easily come out mid-September, right? Like you said, or like even towards the end of the month, and like maybe done a little better with the NFL ads as well, like built in, and like people get excited for it.
Yeah.
That said, like it is what it is. Probably,
Yeah, I
never,
don't
like
know.
you said, it's never going to be like a big kid. So
This wasn't going to be a $30 million movie at some point,
no,
the opening
no,
movie anyway. So, I
no.
get it to a degree, but just a curious note on that. We'll see how that continues on. Our Fantastic Four buddies still hanging at number 4 here. We're getting at 250 million US, which is a pretty good number. That's above the kind
Mhm.
of the Thunderbolts and Captain Americas, and so it's doing better than that. It's just not doing Guardians or kind of Spider-Man Across the Universe. Like it's not doing those will all beat it domestically. So it's kind of people a lot of eyes on this, Chris. I think of like, is this going to kind of shift the narrative? Can you revive this franchise, which has a checkered history here and success, and B, can this kind of put Marvel back on a trajectory of some sort? And like, can't really say anything else about this. I don't know. What do you got?
No, I don't think so. And like, also, I'll be curious to see how much will they. Obviously, we talked about this like a little bit last week too. But there, it seems like narratively that the Fantastic Four team is going to be a big part of Avengers Doomsday next winter or in winter of 26.
6,
I'm
right?
like, will they actually lean on them at all? How much will they lean on them in the marketing and the pre-release buzz building time when this movie kind of it did not hit as well as I think, people were probably hoping for, I guess, or even
Yeah,
like wanted it to, because like you said, like people like did enjoy the movie. It's not like it's not like an Eternals level negative response to this movie, I would say, but the box office just hasn't really been there in response, I guess. And I'll be
yeah.
curious to see how
It's
they like kind of promote it in the future.
totally, yeah. It's like it's just it's a tweener. It's just like it's better than the past couple, but it ain't kind of the old way. Or
Hmm.
even again, I'm gonna say it one more time here today. Short on international, and it's like again, like so if you're looking at that international level of this, which Marvel never really had that issue. That wasn't a real, so like, again, we're seeing this international softness,
Mhm.
and these numbers, it's pretty, distinct. It's like 250 US and I guess so 210 international. So it's not like it's even. So,
No.
is that fantastic? For, whatever, call it what you want, but it's real. So on net of this movie will maybe get to 550 if it's lucky, on a global scale. So again, you're just making a movie cost over 200 million plus on a budget, plus a very hefty marketing campaign for that. That
Mhm.
was not for lack of awareness on this movie. So again, you're just kind of making your money back ish on theatrical with these movies, which for Marvel, not really why
Not
you're in the Marvel
yeah.
business, So I'll be very curious. The next, as we have Avengers, which is going to be its own, it already is its own juggernaut in terms of how much you spend on it. But will there be a calibration on any other Marvel films going forward on the budget for this stuff, where it's like, all right, we got to make these for
Mhm.
150, maybe 170 now, and no more $200 million movies. So
I feel like yes will be the answer to that. We'll see.
as the CFO of Disney will say, yes, you will be making them for 175,
Yes.
150. Thank you very much. Then we got Bad Guys still going along here. This one, $80 million in the budget. It's 117 global, maybe breaks even, not including marketing on this. Again, the first one, take out China, was about 200 million. So we're not going to get anywhere, not close to that on this one.
No.
Do you make a third one of these?
I don't know. I mean, the one thing that has going for it the rest of the summer is there's again nothing. Well, that's not necessarily true because you have the K-pop Demon Hunters sing along this
Which
weekend.
we
But in
will,
general, there's not
yes.
much for we've talked about. But there's not much for this audience for the kid family audience. So it'll probably play, and I guess nothing really besides that K-pop Demon Hunters sing along until the Gabby's Dollhouse movie comes in
Right.
September, which I think they're
GWA.
probably.
Yeah.
I think it's September 26th. So like that certainly plays to the same audience. So it could make a decent amount, but I don't know. I mean, the thing is, the franchise is good. I think the movies are good, but if they're just
Yeah.
not, maybe they make a third one if it's somewhat cheaper, I guess. That would be,
Yeah.
hopefully. But
Yeah.
like,
I mean, how much can you get these down? I mean, 80 million
I don't
for an
know.
animated movie is not a lot, as it
No,
is.
no.
But, so, I don't know. I mean, again, there could be a pivot play. There could be other revenue
Mhm.
sources here. Again, it's just not
Yeah.
theatrical in this movie that makes sense for you, where you would continue it to do more. So we'll see. I'm not going to be at Superman again, which is again doing very 340 million US. Huge success. I will say, and Rushfield and I will get into this next week when we're going over our summer picks here. Superman and F1 are pretty close in terms of total
Mhm.
global, and like that's if you're gonna, I think Superman will edge it out a little bit, but F1 that still like -9% this week. Granted, it's down to 2.6 million, but like that came out end of June. So that movie just keeps, and it has they put it back on some IMAX theaters. So
Mhm.
again, like that IMAX factor there. So I'm giving advantage to F1. I'm not sure, but Richard picks a Superman, so we'll see which way we land on that one. But I'm giving a slight advantage to F1. But
I kind of
so
would too, honestly. I mean, like
I'm
it's
good.
done remarkably well.
I'm all right. I'm putting. I'm saying Rosen on my side. That's it. I mean, Rushville to get the continue going. And then highest to lowest, no idea what happened, man. Apple TV Plus, no numbers. Shocking, of course. And it's an A24 movie. We should say as well who produced that, but it's Apple going to be on Apple TV in a couple of weeks. But 200, 300 theaters. There was, again, it's just this like. Well, we talked about this when I put the promotion of the movie and they're like, oh, put the release date in theaters. I'm like, they're not giving me information about this. It's not a release of a theater. I don't count
I
it.
thought of that a lot.
That's a theatrical release. So I'm like, I'm sorry. I know you put it in theaters, but you got to play the game here. So
I was wondering this. Like Denzel is still a huge movie star. If this would have been in theaters, I can't imagine like a lot of theaters. I think it would have done okay, right? Like, I mean, it
yeah,
just even if the movie's not, it's not like Inside Man at all. As you know, as someone I saw this movie, so I was
oh,
like,
you did.
not
Okay, all
like
right.
not in I saw it at a screening, so like not like with the real paying public. But I would say
Right.
like it is like it's not like Inside Man because it's a little more talking. It's like a remake of High and Low, which is a Kurosawa movie. But you could definitely sell it as like an action movie, and then towards the back half, there's a lot
It
of like
sounded
things that.
like it was stacked. Yeah, yeah.
So you could like sell it like it's like Equalizer-esque, get that audience, or even like Inside Man. Not that people would remember that. I don't know. I was just like, I think this could have done a lot. It could have done. I'm not like it's not would have been like a $30 million opening, but I'm like could have done maybe
It's
better
still
than
Denzel
Nobody too,
Washington.
right? Like
Like,
yeah, it's Denzel
yeah, like
Washington,
global
and I'm just like I don't know. I don't know
superstar
how the
Denzel
there's
Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know how this like this feels like a miss not being in theaters to me, like more than like the
The handful
cursory
of token.
200
Yeah.
theaters, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's. I mean, look, it's an ASAP Rocky. I was another aspect to
Yeah.
sell on this. Not again, not like a lot of things you could put on this, but again, it just goes back to back to Apple. What are you doing? Like what is this movie plan here? Like, I just again, nothing. Is it just Apple TV, which essentially is what this is?
Yes.
Fine, but just it's weird that you're kind of in this middle ground where so Tom Hall in the comments here saying at as an art house cinema, you can't disclose the numbers, so they won't let you tell the numbers out. So that's really what Apple and A24 do here. So that's why we don't have any information. If you don't have information, you can't play. Like I'm just like, all right,
Yeah.
yeah, sure,
Like
say
that.
whatever you want about it. Nobody, we move on. If you get some
Mhm.
nominations, we'll circuit this year, but CBA on that. And just a shout out to the Yankees, Lane Lowe, who did see F1 and IMAX this weekend.
Mm.
Lane, the folks at Apple do thank you for that, and your hope you enjoyed your SF, which I recommended to you many weeks ago. So I'm glad my message finally got through. Thank you, Lane, for checking out F1. So anyway, yeah, otherwise, yeah, we had this Americana pick from City Sweden, Lionsgate, which people, this is terrible. I'm like, it was bought for PVOD and home video. It wasn't bought for, a theatrical release. So anyway,
Mhm.
that's a side point. But this will be your Chris, for a guy who probably runs in these circles of movie trivia. What is Sydney Sweeney's lowest wide opening ever? That will be probably the answer to that. Be Americana, because it was on 1,100 screens, so like $500,000 on 11. So it was a wide release Sydney Sweeney movie that did $500,000.
Mhm.
So if you want your trivia buffs, you'll have to pay attention to that one. So anyway, so I guess let's two things. So why don't we just? I think we should mention K-pop. Let's just dive into this a little bit. This could be so K-pop, for those who don't know, is doing, but apparently it's not that many of you, but a lot of people know about this, but is doing a sing-along in theaters this weekend. I haven't seen a theater count. I'll check in with Netflix later this week about that. I'll put it in the wake up if I get something. And for Saturday and Sunday, 23 and 24, or August 23rd and 24th. I've heard some colleagues of ours at the Antler saying that some things are already sold out for these screenings. Chris, what do you got here on this? Anything?
I mean, I know for the one I have tickets to see it, and the theater is sold out already, and like a couple other
Really?
local, Alamo and Staten Island, near where we are in New Jersey is sold out. It's playing at Cinemark, I know in our area. I think it's definitely
Okay.
a thing, and I think people are excited to see it. I'll be curious to see how much money it makes this weekend, but I think all of these screenings are going to be packed. That would be my guess, because this movie has continued to be such a sensation, especially for younger people, and even now into kids, like teens. I think this is like a big deal. This movie's still a big deal.
Yeah, but I think that, I hope this becomes something. And again, it's this evolving story of not just the movie business, but also Netflix and the movie business, where because Netflix, famous for being like, yeah, this isn't really a business of ours. We don't think it's a great business, blah blah blah. And it's like you can make a decent chunk of change off of this, and it provides that again. What would that the Minecraft go see with a group, like go have fun in the theater thing. Look, they can extend this. This is just a 2-day thing for now, but Labor Day weekend, there's ain't much in there. Like, as a movie theater owner, you're looking to sell tickets. It's like,
Mhm.
that's like, and getting kids in, and they're going to buy popcorn and candy. That's an audience that's going to be buying a lot of your concessions. This isn't like an event for 50-year-old dudes coming in who may not really be, jacking up the concession costs. So, I mean, as a theater owner, I don't know. I don't think there are any. If we're about to, you mentioned Cinemark, and I want to see what chains are. Alamo's obviously owned by Sony, more the indie chain, if you will. If there are AMC theaters or Regal theaters doing this, I'll double check that data is. But again, late summer, I am very curious to see how this all goes, Chris, and how wide they go with it, or can get it.
I mean, I think I guess it's gonna like, I don't know where you are on this, but to me, I feel like this would have been I think this would have been a significant hit this summer in theaters based on what we saw. Just if like
I
with
don't,
the
I don't
you don't
believe
think
this at all,
so?
actually, but
You
no.
don't believe
Go ahead.
this? Okay, I
Continue
think
on.
it would.
Give me your pitch.
I think it would have been a big hit, because we saw like the biggest animated movies are what, like we said, like Bad Guys, Elio. Like there's not really anything this summer for that market except for like Lilo and Stitch, which was a live action, or How to Train Your Dragon, which is also a live action. I don't know. I think
Right.
this could have been like I'm not saying it would have been like I'm not saying it would have been like Inside Out 2, but I do think it would have been bigger than these animated movies we had this summer. I guess that would be my take.
Right, but sell this to me. They don't have Netflix where everybody can access it. The first weekend of this movie, did 9.3 million views on Netflix, which is that's globally, not very much. Week 2 was 22 million, 24 million, something like that. So again, it was that word of mouth, the accessibility. You could just go watch it on your TV. If you're trying to sell this as you're going to get the 4K K-pop fans to come out, which is, place your bets how that is. But that music has to take off and these other things that happen. That's what Netflix can do now when you're in, say 90 million US homes. As a theatrical endeavor, how much are you spending as Sony to launch that movie? Like, that's where I lose not that it wouldn't have taken, maybe it would have taken off, but I think the Netflix factor is the kindling, the flame, the gasoline all in one here. Without that, I think but that's why I love it, because it's interesting. Take the reverse of that. Maybe there's a way, is there a way to get high on streaming and then make an actual theatrical real money after the fact, which is, I can't even really think of a comp there. So I'm very curious to see how this goes, Chris, but I don't know. I just don't buy the initial theatrical things. That's a tough marketing spend.
Okay, I get that. But I would say then you're right too, in terms of like the experiment would actually work. Because I think, I do think these movies I think people are going to come out for these screenings. And I think especially if they go into Labor Day, because there's nothing else in theaters, if you continue, and then all of a sudden they're building actual business out of this. And maybe that is something, is that a world for Netflix to get into theatrical, where it launches first on streaming, and then goes to theaters? I mean,
what I love about they're not giving Netflix shit for kind of their theatrical comments, and as I think this deserves to a point, but they are a company who will see this and not be like, we're so dialed in, we don't do this. We're not, they're taking this opportunity, so props to them for trying this and seeing what happens. So I'm excited to see what it could possibly be here, as again, we said, at a summer that could use a little kick in the ass at the end of summer here. So we shall see. But if you can buy a ticket, and if you got some intel, by all means, email me. I'd love to hear comments and thoughts. So if you go to see this and what your experience was, I'm sure we'll see it on our social media. And we also have another phenomenon, Chris. We should mention Tom Hall again, bring it up here in the comments. Niza 2, the biggest movie of the year, which no one here probably has never heard of. This is a big hit in China, coming to theaters from A24. I think this is an IMAX PLE, kind of 3D, or the high end theaters this weekend. So I don't know how wide this goes. China. There was another movie, honestly, the greatest basketball player in the world, or something like that, that also came here and did like 2 million. I just don't know that. Look, I could be proved wrong on this. I don't know. There's a huge demand for. China has yet to break this market. I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, I've seen to A24's credit, they ran trailers from this all like late summer here in front of all these kids movies, at least at the AMCs that I was going to. So I saw it in front of Smurfs. I think I saw it in front of Bad Guys. So I was like, okay, like
so it's on your radar. Okay,
yeah. So it's definitely on my radar, but I don't know how much of it is it on people's radar who don't go to the movies every other week. I don't know about that. But
is your kid looking to go to this, or was it effective? Or
not really. That one didn't really that one did not make an impact, but it looks cool. I mean, so we'll see.
And it's dubbed into English, I think, so on and so on.
Yes, I think Michelle Yeoh is like the lead, like the main voice English dub that they did for this.
Yeah. All right. And one more comment here. Do you think the Jaws anniversary re-release last weekend of the summer can over? Little Jaws coming back, 50th anniversary. Little jump to something, or no?
I don't
this
think
isn't
so.
Star Wars?
No. I don't think so.
All right.
You can watch Jaws I mean, I love Jaws, but I'm like, people can watch this anytime. I don't know if they're going to run
it was just on NBC. They put it on NBC
they just
on a
put it
Friday night.
I know.
Yeah, a few months ago. It's fine. I did like 4 million, I think 4 million or something like that, which is fine for an NBC on Friday or Saturday night, there may be a contingent that goes to check it out, but I don't, may not be doesn't quite have the fanboy thing as much as Spielberg has, a degree of that maybe. But anyway, but yeah, we'll just round out here the overall numbers, everybody. Summer's going to be flat, if not a little down from last year, which is kind of crazy to say, given the rep that, and this is again 2024 strike affected year, even 25, you're going to make an argument. Although I'd take a little bit less than that, but and how bad May was last year. Remember the first 5 or 6. I mean, Spider-Man or what was it? I think Bad Boys was the first movie that actually did any business, which I think was the first or second week of June last year. May was Furiosa last year, and if you want, it was a terrible May. Fall Guy, and a lot of hot takes about the movie because this back then. But it came around in the end. Like Deadpool, it ends with us. You had Alien Romulus, which came that came out a year ago this past weekend, and that's this year's. And this year, end of the summer is Weapons and Freaker Friday, and but there's nowhere near the comps. And this is we're going to be it's plus 2% now versus 2024 with 2 more weekends to go, and you still had all those movies, the Deadpool's and Ends with Us going on heaters here going into the end. So you can tell me flat, it could be even a little bit down. So it's a little crazy to think. I mean, not that numbers are the numbers, Chris, but that's interesting that the prediction wasn't going to be we're going to be flat over 24. That was for sure
No
not
way
the
was
outlook.
it like that at all. No way was that the prediction. I think this year's not going to get as much shit for it just because it's at the end of the summer, right? So that's another. Like I feel like because you had so many people, like at the beginning of the summer, there was so much attention last summer to those flops in May, and then when you get to August, like you said, like Deadpool carrying over and doing extremely well, and Alien Romulus, and It Ends with Us, and people kind of like were already checked out. I feel like on some of this, it reminds you a little of like it's kind of like the opposite of sports, I guess, a little bit because like in like baseball, is such a long season, and you could start really hot and be great, but then by the end of the season, if you're just like you said, the numbers are numbers. If you're not good, nobody really remembers the great start you had here. It's like kind of flipped, where it's like I feel like people aren't maybe won't remember that this summer is going to peter out
Oh no,
in the
you're
way
only
it
as big
did.
as your last hit, Chris. That's that is Hollywood's mantra. So yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, the credit won't be there. So
No,
and we're going into September again. We're going to have Beetlejuice comps, which did almost nearly $300 million US last year. So I mean, Conjuring should do well, but it's going to be nowhere near that. So
no.
again, until October, this narrative won't really change. And we're only plus 6% now on the year. So again, if we're +4, +3 at the end of the summer, and you're going to lose in September. Like again, 2025 as a year could be down going into October. You can pay me that.
Mhm.
Of course, the Paul Thomas Anderson movie will save us all, Chris. So I don't know what we're worrying about anymore. We have a plan. Leo DiCaprio is saving the box office. We
He's
have
gonna
that
do
already
it. It's
set.
gonna be great. The Thomas Pynchon stands are out in force for this movie, and they're gonna come and save
Exactly.
the box
Yeah.
office.
The narrative is so set up for Leo to just come and knock this out of the park. So I think I'm pretty excited for that. So stay tuned, everybody. Any parting thoughts before we go here, Chris? You're getting ready for Telluride, I guess, a little more. Anything else on your mind at this point?
Nothing really. I guess I'm just one of the things. This is not. One of the things I was thinking is like the last few weeks here. You've had like we said like Spike Lee movie that barely got theatrical release. Honey Don't I think is coming out, which is a Coen,
That's
one of the
we should
Coen
mention. Yeah,
brothers.
mention that's coming out
Uh,
this Friday. Yep.
Darren Aronofsky movie, right? Is a couple
Yeah.
like for caught
Austin
stealing, and
Butler.
I'm like all these
Austin
really
Butler
great.
movie.
Yeah, all these really great directors or like from the 90s and like 2000s with these interesting movies that I'm like, who, like, no one seems excited to go see. And I'm just like, I don't know what that says about the current state of this business
Mm.
or the box office, but I'm like, it's just funny to me that all these guys are piling up. Jay Roach was the Roses, right? Like
Oh
said,
right,
like
Jay
that's
Roach
another
too.
one.
Yeah, the Roses
And
is
I'm
also
like, not that Jay
yeah.
Roach is like Darren Aronofsky, but Jay Roach has a
No,
history
but
of like hit movies, like
he's a
you know,
name,
some. Yeah,
director.
he's
Sure.
definitely a
Yeah.
name. I don't
Yeah.
know what this means, but I'm just like, it just is interesting to me that they're all just kind of like crashing into each other here at the end of the summer, and none of them seem like they're going to do any significant business at all.
Right. Or awards factor where they're
No,
like, okay,
neither.
I mean,
Nothing.
Aronofsky is an awards director,
Yes,
so, and
exactly.
yeah, none of that happening for any of these titles. And, look, I mean, end of summer is always famously a little bit more of is where you put your movies that you don't have too many expectations for. And we go on our way and we're all excited about the fall movies
Hmm.
here. And yeah, those are big names to be put in that category. So yeah, that's no, very, very astute observation, sir. So take from that what you will. But maybe this fall will be a new lifeblood of new directors
Yes,
coming out of the
yes.
festivals, and we shall see what who gets born into the spotlight. So anyway, thanks everybody. That's the Morning Quarterback for this week. I'll be back here, I think, with Mr. Rushfield next week. I don't know. So hopefully he'll be back in the ether here. We'll resurface all panned and relaxed. You'll see a whole new different side of Richard here. He'll be so optimistic, Chris, about the box office. There'll be
I
the
can't
whole other,
wait.
like, yeah, for Vacation Rushfield coming back. I'm curious what the perspective is on life. So tune in only for that next Monday, everybody. So, Chris, thanks for pitching in here. As
Thanks,
always, check
Sean.
out Chris and the Prestige Junkie podcast there. Shout out to Katie Rich as well. They'll be covering all the fall festival stuff starting pretty soon here. Again, Telluride's kicking
Hmm.
off about a week and a half here. So, a lot of action going on there. So thanks everybody for joining. We'll see you next time. Thanks.
Bye.